Hello everyone, in this video I'll demonstrate to you how I painted these plums using the Derwent Inktense pencils and the Derwent Chromaflow pencils. It took me several days to complete this entire painting. That's why I've recorded the process for a few of the plums and I will explain to you in detail each and every step that I followed. Since the process is same for all the plums, you can consider this plum as your reference. I will be using the Derwent Inktense paper and I will be mostly using these shades of blues, purples, violets and certain pinks as well. I will be starting with the lightest color first. So for the base layer, I will add a very light layer of navy blue and after that I'll add certain pinks, purples and violets as well. A little pigment goes a long way with Inktense pencils, so we need to be very careful not to add too much pigment in the first place. Because once you activate them with water, they turn extremely vibrant. Adding all the main colors that I can see from the reference before I blend them with water. The link to the reference picture is available in the description. Once I have all the colors on the paper, I activate them with the Derwent WaterBrush. I use this brush just like any normal brush, but please make sure to keep cleaning the brush every few seconds. I've already uploaded several videos on this channel demonstrating how to use the WaterBrush, the Derwent Inktense pencils and paints. I start blending from light to dark, making sure to keep cleaning the brush every few seconds. Inktense pencils are quite different as compared to watercolor pencils because here once a layer is dry, it's permanent. You can add more layers on top without affecting the previously dried layer. Now that the initial layer is completely dry, I add few more layers. I recommend using a hair dryer for drying the paint as it helps keep the paper flat. The reason why I chose to use the Inktense pencils here instead of the Inktense paint pans is because the Inktense pencils come in a huge set of 72, whereas there are just 24 shades available in the Inktense paint pans. So you'll need to mix your own colors there. Whereas here you have so many shades to choose from and all the mixing happens on the paper itself. Also, since you all know I'm more comfortable with dry media like colored pencils, so I prefer using the Inktense pencils here. So if you're someone who finds watercolors quite difficult to handle and control, then you will love Inktense. Since Inktense is a very vibrant medium, I will also be using the Derwent Chromaflow pencils to dull down certain colors and to add finer details. This is one advantage of Inktense. You can add light over dark. So whenever you want to speed up your process, you can add Inktense as the base layer and use colored pencils for all the finer details. Of course, you can do this entire drawing with just colored pencils, but that would take a lot of time. Or you could also do this only with the Inktense pencils or paints, but you will have to use a lot of white and do a lot of mixing. So I decided to use both the mediums combined. Adding more layers of colored pencils here so that I get rid of the graininess of the paper and get a smooth finish. Inktense paper is quite sturdy and it can take a lot of layers. But please make sure that a layer is completely dry before you add any more paint or colored pencils on top. If I were to do this entire piece with just colored pencils, then Inktense paper would not be the right choice because it's quite grainy. It's better to use a smoother paper or a slightly textured paper if you're doing something with only colored pencils. Just like colored pencils, you can also use the Inktense pencils dry without activating them with water. But you need to be a bit careful here because a color may look one way when it's dry and may look entirely different when activated with water. So it's always better to make a color chart so that you have an idea of how the color looks when it's dry and how it looks when activated with water. Hope this example makes it clear for you. I'm now repeating the same process by adding more details with the Inktense pencils and the colored pencils and refining the painting. Switching over to some music now, but I'll be back in a minute explaining to you how I painted the inside of the plum or the yellowish part. For this part, I add sherbet lemon, cadmium yellow, golden, and then a little bit of greens as well. I'm following the same steps that I followed in the earlier section, that is blocking in all the colors first, blending with water, and then once dry, adding more layers, then adding the darker tones, and finally the details with colored pencils. For this dark part just below the seed, I'm adding very darker brownish greens and then few dark browns. While I wait for this area to dry, let me add the details with colored pencils on the upper section. Using a white gel pen for the highlights, it's quite difficult to get all the dark tones with just the yellows. So I've combined the yellows with greens and oranges at certain places. Similar steps are to be followed for the other half. But this section has more greens and less oranges. I hope you enjoyed watching this process and learned something new today. Please let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see similar videos on this channel or if you have any other suggestions. I regularly post in-progress clips and other tips on my Instagram stories. Don't forget to follow me there. Here's a closer look of the finished painting. Looking forward to your feedback on this. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.